All right, good morning everyone. I welcome you back into my session, and today we are going to discuss about the agenda of course going forward, whatever courses we are going to plan. And apart from that, it's like an introduction to the data and data science. I really want to discuss on that front. So this session is basically more or so 99% we will discuss about what is data, what is machine learning, what are the different types of applications, and why you have to learn it, okay, why it is going to be a fantastic career when someone is becoming a data scientist, or complete this course with me, what are the career opportunities are there, and what are the different topics of course we are going to cover. That also we are going to discuss today, right? So as I have, for those who are newly watching or watching it for the first time on my channel, so you can of course go through my earlier recordings. In very first recording I have explained about myself, I have given all my details, and in the second recording I have of course mentioned about the curriculum of the course, right? And here today we are going to discuss about what is data and what is data science, right? So this agenda I'm going to discuss at the fag end. Of course the agenda will be we are going to learn two different tools, two different languages like R and Python. So these are the programming languages which we are going to use to handle the data science queries or problem business cases, etc. And in so far to say about the agenda, as we have already seen in the curriculum video, okay, this is the broader classification I would say. I have created one tree. So first of all we will begin with our statistical analysis. Post that we will get introduce ourselves into the data mining, that is supervised and unsupervised machine learning techniques. Then we will also look into the text mining and NLP, right? NLP is called as natural language processing. And then we will move forward to the forecasting, right? So data visualization using Tableau is not part of this particular batch which I am going to conduct, okay? But if suppose someone is interested in that, we can have a different session altogether for that, right? So this is a brief agenda which I have to discuss, and then now let us understand that what is data science basically. Why there is so much buzz around, and why people are discussing about all this, and what is there in it which you want to learn, so that you can make a fantastic career, right? So let us discuss about what is data, and what is big data, so to say, right? So there is a lot of buzz around these two words, and data analysis, data analytics, business analytics, etc., etc. And there are a lot of terminologies, data engineer. Then some people call themselves as, or there are some opportunities available in the market known for data engineering, data scientist, data analytics, and a lot of different terminologies people use, right? But everywhere you will see, as far as the current market is going on, and the requirements which we are coming across for job opportunities are related to data in bigger quantities, right? So there is actually a big huge demand and supply gap, so to say, right? So let us first understand what is this data is all about, okay? Many of us are dealing with data for almost since a lot of years, or so to say. Those who are experienced guys working for around 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, 2 years, 20 years down the line, okay? So we have already played a lot of with this data and all, right? For those who are really very fresh, okay, for them data is something which means only the whatever information is there on website, or whatever information we share through WhatsApp, or this Facebook, because all these are new technologies, right? But before that also, so data is there since the inception of mankind, if you say, because data is nothing but the information available, right? Whatever you see, your left, right, center, above, down, everywhere the data is available, right? So, and a huge amount of data is called as big data. There is no rocket science in that. There is no secret behind that what is big data and all. The huge amount of data is called as a big data, right? So some statistician and some expert are saying that nowadays what the amount of data which we are generating, we means not only people, but we are talking about the entire universe. So nowadays whatever amount of data is getting generated is almost equivalent to the amount of data we have generated since the man's inceptions, or since the humankind's inception till maybe early 2000 or so, right? And that much amount of data we are generating every day or two nowadays, right? So if you see, a lot of these technology related stuffs are there, and because of this internet and all, the communication has increased, the speed of the data has increased, right? So basically when it comes to data, it used to characterized in V's, right? And these are the three most important V's in front of you on your screen, that is volume, velocity and variety. So when we are talking about volume, as I have said already, that we are talking about the amount of data has been generated in the past, okay? Same amount of data we are generating every day almost, right? Because the number of WhatsApp users, the number of Facebook, number of LinkedIn users, e-commerce, right? All these platforms are generating data. So the volume is very, very huge, and that is why it is called as a big data, right? So I normally give an example, and the speed at which actually, let me first cover up that. So the speed at which we are generating. So look at that. If you have a camera, nowadays almost all of us use these smartphones, right? And it has got that camera and that camera button, that red color and all. Most of the times it is there in the smartphone. So if you press that button for maybe something like longer than 3 to 5 seconds, then you will probably snap around 30-35 pictures, right? And there was a time, I remember when I was a small kid, and in those days we used to have that, not a digital camera, but that different type of camera was there. It used to have that roll, Nowadays also that camera is still there, I guess, but nobody's, very less people are using it. You have to develop that roll and all, and you have only 36 copies in that. So in one roll you can have only 36 photographs. And I remember we used to buy, I mean, my dad used to buy that roll, and maybe that is sufficient for the entire year. So for the entire whole year, maybe 36 photographs, something like my birthday, my brother's birthday, my parents' anniversary, if some guests are coming and some special occasion is there, then we used to snap some photographs. If there is any picnic happening, something like that, or normal gathering in a year, that's it. I mean, 30-35 photographs for a year was a huge sort of a thing. Then we used to develop that. We used to create an album and keep it into the almari, or what you can say, the cupboard, right? And whenever then, maybe few years later, if suppose everybody is together and we used to suppose the mood is there to see the photographs and all of the old photographs even today, so we simply go to the that particular location, and we get, because all those albums are labeled, right? So 1975 or 1985, 1988, something like that. So simply you pick that labeled album, and you can go through all those photographs. So why I'm mentioning this label over here is because we are going to discuss about labeled and unlabeled data as well, right? So it is very important to understand what is labeling means, right? So we used to get that album, and we even now we can go through those what you say the photographs and all, right? And the difference between those era and now, the thing is that if you use the smartphone, you get 30-35 photographs in a fraction of seconds. But the problem over here is, if I ask you to get me a photo which you have taken from your camera maybe last year November, so it's probably 4-5 months down the line, maybe, because today we are sitting in May month, so maybe 6-7 months down the line, and you will say, no boss, you tell me something else to do, I cannot, because so many photographs to scroll and find out exactly that particular photograph is very difficult task, right? That is big data we are talking about, right? And that is why we are getting paid higher amount, because the amount of data is being generated in such a huge scale and quantity that you really have to work very hard to find out a meaningful and important data to do the analysis. Now, if that photograph is so difficult to find out from the November month from your own phone, just imagine that what are the quantity and what are the volume we are discussing about. The data is being generated in all the spectrum, all the industries, everywhere in the world, and we are talking about analyzing that particular data, right? So now this is volume we are talking. This velocity, this speed we have discussed, that the difference is 1 year versus maybe 3 seconds. Okay, so the speed at which every day we are taking at least one photograph through our smartphone camera, right? And there are 7 billion people on planet Earth they are living, and even if you consider that 300 crore or 400 crore people are using smartphones, maybe 50% of all of them, and if 50% of those who are having the phones are snatching one photograph page, which means we are talking about 150 crore photographs a day. And this ratio I am talking when we are taking only one photograph per mobile. So this is the amount of data we are talking about, right? And of course there are a lot of different avenues or platforms where the data is getting generated. This is just one small example I have given by taking the example of this photograph and camera and all, right? And of course I do mention that labeled and unlabeled data. So that comes that takes us to the third V, and that is variety of the data, right? So the structured data and unstructured data, right? So what is structured data? So structured data is something which is labeled, and what is unstructured? Obviously the opposite of that, that is unlabeled, right? So let us understand that. All right. So what is structured and what is unstructured data? So structured data is something which is labeled, and unstructured data is something which is not labeled. So all those Excel sheet, Excel files where you have actually the column names available, right, where we have labeled the data. So all that data which is there in my Excel sheet or in some other applications or tools wherein I will be able to describe that data with a name or label, that is called label data. Then what is unstructured data? So all your video files, audio files, your text data available on websites, right? WhatsApp messages which we are sending. Okay, we cannot convert that into the rows and columns so easily. Yeah, of course there are some techniques which we are going to learn by using the text mining concept and all. But then initially the format of that data is unlabeled, right? So the storage of that data, maybe if you download some reviews from or maybe you copy and paste the website content or the SMS messages or the WhatsApp messages or whatever is available there in the text format. If you want to copy and paste, you can definitely use the applications like Notepad and Word, this Microsoft Word, instead of going for the Excel sort of a rows and column application, right? So that is the difference between structured and unstructured data. So it is very useful when it comes to analysis, right? So what is the type of data on the table, so that we can use different techniques to do the analysis, right? So there are some different techniques to analyze structured data, and at the same time there are some different techniques to analyze unstructured data as well, right? And these are the various as I said, various platforms, various locations where data is getting generated. Look at that in the top row, very first image on the top left corner, and that is a Mars rover for you, right? So what it is doing there? It is moving around there on the land of Mars and collecting some samples of photographs and sending it to the people working over here and doing analysis, right? So which means that it is also, the machine is also generating a data, and not on planet Earth. And that is why I mentioned that the data is being generated in the entire universe, right? So this data is also getting generated by the machine on some other planet and being sent over here to the human being to do the analysis, right? This digital transaction, the second image, all the transactions which we are making nowadays, okay, all that are generating data points, right? So if we are if suppose we are analyzing a bank data and there are 1 million transactions per day, then 1 million new data points are being generated for that particular bank, which the analytical team who is associated with that bank is using that data and coming up with some insight, right? Stock market prices. How many stock markets, how many exchanges are there? If you talk about only India, there are so many. And how about in the entire world? Lot many. And how many stocks are there per exchange? Maybe thousands. Now if you talk about how many stocks available in the entire world, oh, maybe millions. And how the stock prices are changing, right? Maybe 2 times in a second or 3 times in a second, so fast, right? And that's why every tick or every price change in a stock is again a new or separate data point. Okay, so a lot of data is being generated through this medium as well. These are some of the examples which are we are showing here on the screen. Okay, Internet of Things, right? All the devices connected with each other, they are generating the data, they are sharing it with each other. All these new gadgets, right? Like watches, or there are some other equipments as well, which are also coming up with app nowadays. Okay, and they are storing the readings or whatever values we are inputting into them. Okay, they are storing that data into the servers, and the manufacturers of those equipments are using that data, right? So my mother used one glucometer. I always give this example. Now that glucometer is coming up with an application wherein she has been asked to, whenever she is going to take the reading, maybe morning, afternoon or evening, she just have to put up that reading into the application. Well, I was just surprised to see, not surprised, basically I was amazed, when I saw that for the first time, and a thought came into my mind that if suppose even 10,000 people across the globe start maintaining the records like this, how big a help this is going to be for the manufacturer of the medicines, because that app is strict. Asking you to put up the details of what are the medicines you are taking, what is your diet program, and since how long you are taking it, etc., etc. So with all that detail information, if suppose that data, okay, which is getting stored into the app, which is deployed on the that glucometers manufacturer's server, okay, now he can just share that data or sell that data to the pharmaceutical manufacturer who is manufacturing or who is producing these particular medicines which my mom or some other diabetic patients are taking. Now it is directly going to impact on the performance of those tablet manufacturers, because now they are directly connected with the consumer. Earlier it was happening, but AMR used to go to the doctor, then they used to give some samples to them, then doctor will try those samples for another 3 months or 6 months on the patient, and then patient's feedback or readings, he used to come up with some analysis from those readings, and then he used to convey it to the MR, and then MR will tell it to the manufacturer. So that long chain was there earlier, which has been shortened directly, because if the data is being maintained properly and by the people who are consuming it directly, it is directly a reference point for the improvement for those manufacturer. And this is not only, this is just an example of pharmaceutical manufacturer, but there are a lot of different avenues like that, different product manufacturers like that, right? So this is one of the use. Then grocery stores, grocery markets, we go DMart and all, Big Bazaar, etc., Reliance Fresh. So whenever we go there, we make a transaction, we purchase few items, maybe 5 items, 8 items, 10 items, some may buy 25 items. So what happens over here is, billions of transactions are being generated across the nation. Suppose if I am talking about India or any other country, then there will be a chain of these supermarkets. People are going there, buying some items and coming back, going home, right? But now what is important thing happening, or to understand over here, if we are interested to be a data scientist, then all these transactions are being stored somewhere, okay, and that somewhere is nothing but the servers of these organizations. Now if you get those detailed information about the transactions, which may be in millions per day throughout the country, so if you get all such transactions, you and your analytical team can sit on that, and there are some concepts called as association rules, wherein if we use that association rule concept on this data, we can come up with some fantastic, unique dependency rules, wherein which is going to help us to manage our stock, to find out the relationship between one product and another product. So if suppose some people are buying few set of products, then they are also buying a different product, which means there are some hidden relationship between the product to product, right? And that can be understood by using this association rule concepts, which we are going to learn in this course, right? Which can be applied on these supermarkets. This is just an example. You can apply it to anywhere. You can apply it to bookstore, you can apply it to CD store, you can apply to any other store, right? And there are this whole lot of social media website, e-commerce website. Okay, we have YouTube also, where the videos are being posted, right? So all these avenues, all these platforms, all these locations, the data is being generated. So there is Amazon, there is Google, there is YouTube, LinkedIn, Flickr, Facebook, Blogger, Netflix, and whatnot, right? And what is happening there on all these locations? This is what happening in 1 minute, right? And that is why we call it as a big data, because and this slide, quite old slide actually, we have developed it long back, so the numbers have tripled by now as I am speaking. But still, nevertheless, these numbers are also so big that 3 years back, probably 500 million tweets where people used to tweet every day. by 100 million active users, right? YouTube users used to upload 500 hours of video every minute, or more than that. Now maybe 2000 hours, right? 29 million messages are being sent in WhatsApp in every 60 seconds, and that is again 3 years back. Currently, maybe 1 billion messages are being sent through WhatsApp. Okay, every 60 seconds we are talking. Okay, so these are some numbers. I mean, this is what the amount of, this is just to understand what we are discussing, you know, the big data, the amount of data, the humongous volume of the data. So now probably some of you may you know, come up with this query, or maybe a thought in mind that okay, all right, Pranav, we understood that what you are saying to us, that yeah, I mean, the data is generated in a huge volume, and so to say there is speed also, too much speed, the data is being generated. But what is there for us? Why shall we learn it from you or from any other institute, or why shall we become डेटा साइंटिस्ट? हमारे लिए क्या है इसमें? हम क्यों बने? हम क्यों समझे ये कि what is data science and all, what is big data analysis and what is the career opportunity, where is that, and what is there for me? So this is an untapped opportunity for all of us, right? So data scientist is going to be the sexiest job of 21st century. This is what Harvard has to say. Businesses will need 1 million data scientists by 2018. So as I said, these slides are quite old, but then this was the requirement over there, and the requirements are keep increasing only, right? Because there is a huge demand and supply gap. So if there is a requirement of 1,000 data scientists today, we are producing only 100, and that is the gap over there, and that is why the requirement is humongous. Because try to understand this in different way. Let me explain it in different way. See, earlier what used to happen, you know, we have seen era, maybe last 15-20 years, companies used to take this ERP software. So first of all, the computerization happened. Then companies started buying computers. Okay, then intranet and networking has started, and then the ERP sort of systems or applications have come into the picture, right? Then companies started using ERPs, and then they started collecting the data. They use the data to do the actions and all. Now the thing is that the next version of that is all the useful data is available on the servers of all the companies. So earlier what companies used to do, they used to be in touch with say, let's say for Infosys, Wipro, TCS, or IT companies basically, and they used to share their data. They used to, you know, buy the applications from them, and then every now and then they used to call them up, and then, but what happened in between, there are incidents happen where the data got leaked or something like that. But and because of that, the competition has improved further, because obviously the data leakage is going to help the competitors, and some companies have also might have taken the wrong disadvantages, etc. So we don't want to get into that. But the thing is that now these all service providers, manufacturers have understood that what is the data and how important it is, right? So they are not ready to share it with any of the IT companies now. What they instead doing is they're hiring the data scientist and the analytical team directly. They're creating a department called analytics within their setup, within their organization. And all this so-called data getting generated within their organization is being given to all this their in-house team to do the analysis, instead of giving it to third party IT company, right? And because of that, the demand has surged. Because suppose let us talk about insurance companies. So currently there are 30 plus insurance companies in India. So every company wants to establish their own analytical department. Let's say telecom. There are 5 to 6 major telecom companies, internet service providers. Okay, They are also in hundreds across India. Then you talk about automobile manufacturers, you talk about pharmaceutical manufacturers, you talk about agriculture related products and services manufacturers, something like pesticides, etc. You, the point over here, what I'm trying to make is every organization, every segment, whether it is manufacturer, whether it is service provider, right? Everyone is going to need or going to establish their own analytical team, and that is why the demand is huge and ever increasing, because there are multi thousands companies, or maybe in lakhs the companies are there which require all this talent, okay, and they are going to hire them. So these are some of the examples. So you take a name of Vodafone, or maybe GE, or maybe Ford, Amazon, okay, any company. So these are different verticals. One is telecom, one is electrical manufacturer, one is automobile manufacturer, one is e-commerce, like that, right? So the different organizations using it, okay, every one's having the platform of their own, and the data is being generated on those each platform, and they are using that data. So let's take an example of maybe reviews, right? So now review is something, product review I'm talking about. So review is something which everybody is interested, right? Whether it is service provider, provider person, or whether it is a manufacturer. So a manufacturer who is manufacturing a mobile phone is also interested into the review given for that particular phone by people. And even if the phone has been displayed on e-commerce platform like Amazon or Flipkart, those companies, Flipkart and Amazon also, are also interested to into the reviews, whatever the people have given to that particular product, because that review can be associated with the manufacturer or the service provider. So for both these entities, all those reviews, all such reviews are very important. Now what they can do is they can download all such reviews, right? And it's possible. We are going to learn that, how to download the reviews. So we can download such reviews. Now here the manufacturer is interested that what people are talking about his product, and here the service provider is interested in what people are talking about my services, irrespective of the product, right? So both of them are interested, and now they have downloaded the reviews. They are going to analyze the review. They are going to find out, and there are a lot of techniques which we are going to learn to do all this analysis, right? So these are some of the examples wherein we can use these machine learning techniques and do our analysis and come up with the helpful insights for all segment, all sectors, like be it a service industry, be it a manufacturer, everyone, right? But before that, now we have understood that yes, what is data we have understood, then how it is getting generated, in what volume, in what speed, okay, what are the different varieties of data that we have understood in brief, of course, because this is something like, you know, introductory video which I am trying to make, wherein people who are interested to learn can get an idea about it, that what is it that is booming into the market and why it is booming. That is what the basic level understanding we are taking. So after that we have understood what are the different locations or platforms where the data is getting generated, and after that we of course have understood that what can be the possible applications wherein these analytical skills and talents can be utilized, right? So we have seen a couple of examples. We are going to see few more examples going forward, definitely. But before that, let us understand then, if we have agreed upon that there is a lot of information available, lot of data available, okay, big data available, and yes, of course, if we use it efficiently, then we can come up with some interesting strategies for businesses, etc. But then to do all this analysis, why R and Python? Why not any other tool? That question may arise in someone's mind. So that is a brief explanation I'm going to give here. Then why we are going to use R and Python? If suppose you see the past trend of a last decade or so, okay, there are a lot of multiple tools, a lot of tools available to do all such analysis, right? But these two languages or these two analytical tools, that is R and Python, or the packages they have developed, their developers have developed, are accepted by majority of the classes across the spectrum, and people are largely moving from other platforms to these two platforms. Look at some numbers are there. So some numbers are from 2013, 2014, 2016, and look at the market share or the popularity index increased in R and Python's so to say for them, right? So that is why we are going to, so look at that. In 2013 it was 38.5 for R at second number. From 2014 almost it is at the first number, in 2016 also, and in the next slide I will show you for 17 and 18 as well. And for Python you can see here 19.5% cell AK, it has come to 30.3 and then 45.8 in 16, right? And these all others are not so increasingly popular. And you see here the the top tool index given over here for Python, and all other languages like Excel is there, Spark, SQL is there, RapidMiner, TensorFlow, everything is there, right? So you see here the color markings are there, the legends are given over here, and for Python, what is the development happened in 15, 16 and 17, for our language, how it has progressed from 15 to 17, right? So that is given over here, and that is why we are choosing R and Python, because it is extremely popular across the spectrum, right? Now that we have understood that what is data to why R and Python, up to that we have understood everything, right? Now let us understand what is this machine learning. So we have understood what is data and what are the different approaches we can take, okay? But then let us understand what is machine learning, why it is so popular, okay? So this gentleman, this is the Indian guy, everyone knows him, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. He has something to say. So he's explaining machine learning is a core transformative way by which we are rethinking everything we are doing, right? So we are rethinking everything, whatever we are doing. The structure beside his photograph is a structure of deep neural network, right? So we will understand that what is artificial neural network, what is deep neural network, okay? But the structure look like this. It is a complex thing to understand from this just single slide, okay? So when we start our discussion going forward into understanding of each and every topic, we will discuss about all that, right? But then this is a quite simpler way to explain it. What is machine learning? And this is very naive model which I have designed. So any layman person, any person who really don't understand anything about computer and nothing, I mean, forget about data science, algorithms and all, okay? Even for that person, what is machine learning? Machine learning is this. There is a labeled data. You have some tools available, like we have some applications, right? So there is a mixer grinder, it is an application. There is a television, it is an application. There is a laptop, it is an application. So something like machine learning algorithm is there, okay? We use that machine learning algorithm, we feed that data to machine learning algorithm and train that algorithm in such a way that it starts, giving me the predicting capability, or giving me the predictions, or you can say the future values, okay, based on the past data. So there is this label data available, okay? I use any of the machine learning algorithm, I feed the data, I feed this data continuously for so much time. There are a lot of other things involved over here, a lot of evaluation metrics involved as well, okay? So I'll keep on testing on that, okay? And once I'm satisfied with the learning of this machine learning algorithm, okay, then I will give that algorithm a new data, okay, so that this learn model, I'm calling this model as a learn model now. So when I give my new data to this learn model, it start giving me the predictions, right? So something, the best example immediately, so that everybody can connect with whatever I'm saying is, everyone is aware of this Facebook tagging, right? So if a photograph is there passing through your timeline, and it will activate a box and it will ask you one question, that is that you? So what it has done that the Facebook's machine learning algorithm for understanding the photo tagging is being trained so much that even a small portion from your photograph, if it is available or visible within the photo, then also it will recognize it, and it will ask you immediately that are you this person, right? And there are a lot of different examples. We will see machine learning applications and examples in the coming slides. But this is what the machine learning is all about, and it is a type of artificial intelligence, okay, which provides computers with the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed, right? So your search engine, for that matter, like Google, right? So how it is completing the statement, what you want to search and all, because it has trained in such a way, right? So how to do that we are going to learn, and these are some more applications. You can say photo tagging I have just discussed, loan approvals, bank loan approvals. So based on the historical data, you may have thousands of data points available, okay, people's data available within the bank, wherein we are going to write an application, or there are some applications available within the banks. Those are machine learning applications. They understand the historical data based on the inputs and output variables, and they come up with the predictions that whether the person is going to default on their loans or not. So क्या हमें इनको approval देना चाहिए? So shall we approve that loan? So if he is going to default the loan, definitely we shall not give the loan to that particular person, right? So we have to reject that, okay? And if suppose someone is really going to pay nicely and comfortably based on whatever parameters are there, maybe his earning, maybe his age, maybe his the family dependencies, maybe the organization is working with, how many years of experience he is having, something like all that data is available with the bank, right? And its past spending patterns, right? Earlier loans, if any, he has taken, how he has repaid, etc., etc. All that information is historical data. I'm talking about is available with the bank. Okay, a machine learning algorithm is going to use that information and train itself to give you an output for a new data point for a new person, whether the person is going to repay or not. Based on that, the approvals will be, the decision of approval may be done. Targeted online ads, all of us are क्या बोलते हैं, शिकार हो गए उसके, और every one of us is facing this targeted online ads. At times it is very troublesome or irritating also, right? So every one of us who is watching this video probably have searched for data science once in a lifetime, कभी भी किया होगा तो. Now you will find it everywhere. You see on your Facebook page, you will see it. Even if you are watching video channels, YouTube channels, and even if you are watching news channels through YouTube, you will find the advertisement belongs to data science, right? That is what is all about targeted online ads. Speech recognition, right? So right now I am speaking with you, but there are some people who don't understand English language. Maybe they are understanding only Japanese language or French language or maybe some other language or Marathi or Urdu or something like that. Then whenever I am speaking it, okay, there is one application available. So that Google Mic you see, right? If I want to train that Google Mic when just beside the Google search engine, okay. Now if I call something, if I don't have to type it, right? I'm just speaking and it is understanding. So for initial instances, I have to train it. Then once it is trained, okay, it will start delivering me the correct answers in the Google search, right? That is the example of speech recognition. And language translation is what I was discussing earlier actually. Suppose if I am speaking in English and someone is not understanding that, then I have to convert it into the whatever the language he understands, right? So I will show you one small clip for this language translation example, so that it is a fantastic and very popular data science application. So let me come up with that.
The problem of having a machine understand human speech has been around in research for a very long time. But now at Microsoft, we are on the verge of having a tool available to all that allows us to speak universally with anyone on the planet. For over a decade, we tried to develop the means for improving speech recognition using Gaussian mixture models. All of that changed when our researchers got together and decided to take a new look at the use of deep neural nets applied to speech recognition, now the new gold standard in speech. Research is a long game. By getting smarter every day and sticking with and understanding the value of basic research, we eventually get to a point where wonderful things can happen. Imagine being able to speak in German and have your message conveyed grammatically and semantically correct in English. That future is here. With a Skype translator, it all starts just as with any other Skype call. You just call someone. But now the difference is the person you're calling doesn't have to speak your language.
But I wanted to talk to you about the email that I sent you yesterday.
Brauchst du noch irgendwelche Änderungen?
Do you need any changes?
There was one thing though. Could you change the green to a lighter shade?
Könnten Sie das Grün durch einen helleren Farbton ändern?
Ja, wir können das Grün viel heller machen.
Yes, we can make the green much brighter.
Ich sende dir heute Abend eine neue Datei.
I'm sending you a new file tonight.
That sounds great. I look forward to it.
Das klingt toll.
With a Skype translator, it's a full human-to-human interaction that crosses the language barrier. It's truly a magical experience.
Amazing, isn't it? So this is one fantastic application which has been developed by Skype, but then there are a lot of different applications possible, right? So that was an example of language translation. Then there is another application, you can say preventive maintenance, wherein we can do a health checkup of an engine or a machine, and we can have a predictive or preventive maintenance application made out of it, which will predict a possible future failure happen within the machine or in an equipment, right? And then self-driving cars is another example, something like Tesla. We all know about it, right? So these are some of the machine learning applications. We also have it in medical and life sciences. Something like cancer detection prediction can be done, or any disease prediction can be done, right, based on certain parameters. Of course, the historical data has to be there. Then only the prediction models work. And this is something very good news for all of us, that since 2018-19, even our IECTE, that is Indian Council for Technical Education, has incorporated these particular topics into the engineering syllabus, right? So artificial intelligence, data analytics, robotics. So all these things basically are new, right? Even in the engineering curriculum, these things have been added in last couple of years, which means that this is relatively a very new technology, and there is a lot of career growing opportunities yet to come in coming 10 to 15 years from now. So that is why this particular time is the right time to complete this course and try to become a data scientist and try to grab an opportunity available anywhere, so to say, at any level, I would say, to begin with. Even those who are experienced people who are working for 10, 15 years now, or maybe 20 years for that matter. Okay, even for them, this is the right time to switch, right, and get into this new era and new industrial development, whatever is happening. Okay, so this is the basic of it. Okay, everyone has to go through this basic course, and then there is lot of new learnings possibles, and because they call it as a scientist, right? So scientist job or role is to keep doing research. Okay, so hell lot of new different things are available. Okay, but it's like a primary thing to undergo this course, so to get at least some basic terminologies done, some basic awareness, some basic understanding of what is it all about and all, and then after that, on this foundation, anyone can build upon, get into the artificial intelligence, deep learning things, etc., etc. So here is one case study which I would like to. This is a story basically. I have created this story, right? So there is an athlete. Okay, but because we are going to head this different type of world in coming few years, right? So even for marketing, it's going to be a very different world. It has already started in this way, but I am still giving you some different ideas about it. So example, suppose this lady who is there on the left bottom corner, she is an athlete, she is running every day for the practice purpose, and she used to wear this New Balance shoes, right? So one fine day she has observed that she is not able to cover up her same distance within the same time or her earlier time, right? And there is a gap, and you look at that gap is almost more than 1 minute or something. And with this result, she was annoyed and she was discouraged with that. And but the thing is that she, being the athlete, she did not doubt it on her self fitness level and all. She doubted on the shoes, and she wanted to buy it. Okay, she have decided to buy new shoes because of the shoes wear and tear problem. Maybe she is taking longer time. And then while going to office, she sat in a cab, and because it is a prepaid cab, the destination was also has been bookmarked. And after sitting into the car, she started to look for these new shoes. Now as soon as she has searched it in Google, okay, the machine learning algorithms working for all these companies, like the shoe manufacturer, Google, etc., okay, got activated, and then the information has reached that someone is searching for that particular shoes. Now the thing is that she is traveling from a point to the destination, which is also known. So the algorithm has searched for if it is getting any advertising signboard on the route, okay, so that it can display an ad. And it has also searched for whether it is available within the car itself, because nowadays if you see, a lot of cabs and cars are having the display boards within the car. So it has searched for that, and it has started displaying the advertisement. But unfortunately for that algorithm, which has worked and come up with this solution, or come up with this techniques, because she was constantly watching into the mobile. So the third thing the algorithm has done is search with the e-commerce platforms and send her the private message onto her mobile with a discount price or some offers, etc. So because she was watching into the mobile and because she has received a message, SMS message or something with a discount and all, she immediately accepted it and she bought the shoes from the Amazon or any e-commerce website, so to say. Whoever have sent the SMS messages, and then the product being delivered to her by using a drone. Now all this, in this entire example, if you see, everything is machine driven. She just have searched, that is the input point, she has searched for the shoes. Rest of the things has been done by the algorithms, and second time she got interacted with at the time of money transaction when she bought the shoes. Again the delivery will be done by machine learning algorithm, because drone is another example or application of artificial intelligence or machine learning. Artificial intelligence is nothing but is a application, okay. So drone is an artificial intelligence, right? So it is an application, but it has been developed by machine learning, right? So there are layers going forward, right? So this is and of course the data also, data science or data engineering also has been a part of this application, right? So when it comes to drone, it is not only the AI application, but it is using machine learning technology. It is also using data science concepts. So while it is traveling from one point to another point, it is capturing the data through images and video clips, okay. The data is becoming a huge in size, then you have to shorten that data. So that is called again a data engineering. So if you don't want any data to be used, then you have to engineer the data, right? So all this in a combination becomes an application of AI, right? So everyone has to work in a team. So someone may be good in handling the data, someone may be good in writing the machine learning algorithms and programs, someone may be very good in using all this information and converting it into the creation of artificial intelligence. So that is the whole idea about this. But then at the base of it, at the foundational level, it is always the data science with machine learning, right? And this is one example. What is the fantastic career one can make, So this person, his name is Mr. Avinash, okay, who has also worked for Mr. Donald Trump for his presidential election in 2014, or the last election, wherever it has happened, okay. And he is a data scientist from Hyderabad. Basically, he has worked with lot of Indian political parties as well, okay, and he tried to make them win. And he has also involved in the win of Donald Trump's last election, and that is why he became very popular as well. But then the thing is that he is probably an IIT or IIM graduate, a postgraduate, and then he has, get into this data science, and then because his passion was towards politics, he enters into it. So the important point I want to make over here is, irrespective of your domain. So if suppose someone is mechanical engineer and wants to know or wants to switch now, okay, then the better thing for him to switch is by learn the data science and get into a job wherein you are passionate about, right? So there are some of my friends, I know when they got their jobs, okay. So after becoming a mechanical, completing a mechanical or electrical engineering, some of them are still selling products in banks, okay. So but they are not happy, okay. It's only because of they want to earn the bread and butter and work for 12 hours, and they have families, and that is why they are working, right? But here is an opportunity. If suppose your interest is not that, so earlier का छोड़ दो, अभी now engineering किया, that is okay. वो किसी का dream था या मेरा dream था, but I have done it, but I did not get a right opportunity, or I was misguided in those era when I completed it, and then now my interest is something different. I want to make a career into that. Yes, of course, there is an opportunity available for all of us, right? So learn this data science with R and Python languages and all, and then whatever domain you are specialized in, or whatever domain you are interested in, passionate about, okay, try to get into that domain. so that you will enjoy at the same time you are, making a very good career, right? This guy was interested in politics. Maybe he is an engineering graduate, right? So engineering and politics has no. So he is not a MA in politics or MA in economics or something like that. Maybe he is an engineering guy. I don't know exactly his qualification, but probably he seems to be an engineer. And then post that he has get into this domain of politics because his interest, his passion was towards it. So all this while, I always say to all my participants, I have almost trained around more than 400 to 500 participants till date. Okay, so to them, all of them, I always say, while you are learning all these agenda topics with me, which I am going to tell you again, what are the agenda topics. While learning all these agenda topics, if we keep on improving upon our domain knowledge in which we want to make a career, right? So like Avinash, his interest was in politics. If suppose someone is today working in Tata Motors but want to or have a lot of passion in mutual funds or a lot of passion in banking and finances or a lot of passion in sports or a lot of passion in agriculture, maybe there is a possibility, right? So there is one of my friend who is a petrochemical engineer. He has completed the engineering with me. Now he is working in Bharat Petroleum since last almost 15 years. But his passion is towards cricket, that he has completed the because he cannot play the cricket now because of the age constraint and all. So what he has done is his passion was towards umpiring of the cricket, cricket matches. So he has completed couple of courses into the umpirings, and he is nowadays even standing for Ranji Trophy games and all. And after learning this, he come to know that I'm teaching all this. He is now learning a data science course from me, because he says that a lot of things I can do after doing this. So think in this way, that the person who is a petrochemical engineer, okay, he is pursuing his job of course, but his passion is towards cricket. So suppose he is saying, if I would be able to make something out of it, I will definitely going to leave this job because I am not interested about it. इतने दिन शिफ्ट में काम किया 10-15 साल तक. नाउ जनरल शिफ्ट है, बट मज़ा नहीं है काम में. So that is the thing I am talking about, right? So if we keep learning on all these agenda topics, okay, we keep improving upon our domain knowledge and we practice. So as I said, all the topics I have mentioned in my curriculum, that is my earlier video. Okay, if you go through that video, okay, what are the topics I am going to cover, I have explained there. Okay, so for every topic there will be an assignment. Okay, and this assignment I am talking about as when I say that practice, right? So while learning all these agenda topics, keep improving upon your domain knowledge and keep practicing, keep solving those assignment related problems. If you do all these things simultaneously, by the time you complete the course with me, you can definitely become a successful data scientist. That is my promise to you, right? And I always say that if suppose someone want to get into the career, get into the SWIFT, get into the swapping of the jobs, okay, from wherever they are current and they want to get into this industry, it only takes 90 days, okay, 3 months time. Every day 3 hours a day you practice yourself on your home, okay, apart from my class hours obviously. Okay, if you do that, okay, you will be definitely a successful data scientist. Okay, लिख के देता हूँ मैं. Okay, and this is what the agenda we are having in front of us. Okay, we will learn R and Python. We will learn statistical analysis, that is basic statistics, then data mining, supervised, unsupervised, that is as I said, predictive analysis, descriptive analysis, or all the topics as I have explained in curriculum. You can go through that video. So we will learn all those machine learning technologies and techniques, and then we will move on to text mining and NLP, natural language processing, and then after that we will end up our session with forecasting. And obviously there will be some different sessions going forward which I will conduct and help all those who are new into this, how to get into, how to develop the resume, how to, how shall we approach to various companies, organizations, how to crack interviews, etc., etc. All that will be taken care of, right? So I wish you all the best. I thank you very much for all of you to join this particular session, and keep watching my latest videos. And for that you can subscribe this channel and hit the bell icon. Okay, the bell icon is very important. So beside the subscribe button there is a bell icon. If you hit that bell icon, you will get all the updated videos as a part of notification, which you can go through anytime. Okay, all right then, bye bye, take care, see you guys. And of course go for subscribing my or liking my Facebook page as well, where I am going to post all these videos as well. Okay, thank you very much guys. Have a nice day, and wish you all the best. Keep in touch. Bye bye, see you, take care.